EarAcoustics contacted me to review their SPA high-end Max IEMs. They are single dynamic driver IEMs with a really well-built metal shell and a design that kind of leans into the luxury aesthetic and feel. So they cost about $290, and they come in this cube-style box. It includes a circular zip-up case, which is a little bit on the larger side, so it won't really fit in your pocket. And the included cable is also a bit on the heavier side compared to most other IEM cables. I do like that the cable isn't flimsy or prone to tangling, and the cable itself being a bit heavier also can kind of give the feeling of a bit higher quality product. It really doesn't make much difference, but it's one of those things that can be nice to have. The IEM shells themselves, though, are kind of something else. The faceplate of the shells have a sort of a diamond design to them, which gives it almost a jewelry sort of look. It's not exactly something that I could see myself wearing, especially since I usually use IEMs when on construction sites, but I am a fan of the metal shells. They're made from CNC'd aluminum and then plated to give them a mirror finish. With the metal shells, they both look and feel more premium than a lot of other IEMs, especially since they do weigh a bit more than the average IEM. That said, they fit well in my ear, and the weight doesn't seem to make them feel like they're going to fall out, as the weight seems well balanced. One thing to note though is that the way that the tips fit onto the nozzle ends up giving them a bit more of a shallow fit. Now for me, the shallow fit of the IEM does actually make them quite comfortable, but I know for some people, shallow fit IEMs don't always fit the best and can sometimes lead to a seal leakage. So comfort and fit for this is something that could vary from person to person. When it comes to how they sound though, unfortunately they don't stand out quite as much as their looks. They don't really go for a neutral tuning or even a mild V shape. Instead they have a quite strong V-shaped sound signature, with a lot of mid-bass and treble. It's similar to the tuning style that was more common a few years ago. Now some people do really like this tuning. I'm just not one of those people. When listening to them at low volume levels like I normally do, they are fine for me, and I don't dislike how they sound, they're just not my preference. They have a lot of bass, especially more in the mid-bass region, which for some songs does give quite a bit of weight to the sound. And on lower volume levels where the treble isn't so overpowering, it can be engaging, but I personally prefer a more neutral tuning. The problem for me comes from when I turn them up, since I am sensitive to some upper mids and low treble, so the emphasis in those regions for me cause them to sound harsh and sibilant as the volume is increased. Now again, this is only when I turn them up loud, and other people's ears might not have the exact same effect. I have seen quite a few other people praise how they sound. Now the other thing is, EarAcoustics seems to offer similar IEM configurations, but with different shells, which kind of gives you options on how much you want to spend on the exterior. There's versions of this IEM, or at least very similar, made with resin shells for half the price of this, and they also have a version made with a zinc alloy instead of aluminum that's kind of in the middle of the price range. Now I haven't tried those versions, but I do believe that they use the same driver and a similar sort of tuning, but there might be some differences. It was kind of hard for me to get all the information from the site, as I think a lot of it is kind of translated directly, so it doesn't all get across. So I think that these IEMs are probably for someone who mainly wants them for the looks and having the all metal build. They don't sound bad, just probably a bit dated in today's market. That said, some generally do really like that sound signature, so for them this is probably something that they might be interested in. But I do think that probably the biggest driving factor for this IEM specifically would probably be buying it because you like how it looks.